That's rock and roll, right? That's the pure experience, the pure essence of what makes rock music what it is. The most exciting, the most impactful, the best music genre there is. Change my mind. Hello there, girls and boys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be reacting and analyzing one of the best songs, or at least one of the most popular tracks by this little known band called Van Halen. And the track in question is Unchained from the album Fair Warning. And spoiler alert, I happen to be a huge fan of the band, and this happens to be one of the very first songs that I listened to back in the day when I was just a little boy, and I have plenty of fun memories regarding this song. So if this is your jam and you want to analyze this track together, let's do it. But before we go, if this is your first time in the channel, I welcome you, because here we analyze the music that we love from the perspective of an active musician and professional music producer, using language that everybody can understand in a way to expand their knowledge when it comes to music production and songwriting. So if this is your jam, let's rock and roll. Here we go. So here we go, girls and boys, Unchained by Van Halen. Sorry for interrupting, but you know the drill. The first thing that I want to point out is at the way the guitar is being used. Of course, the guitar is fantastic and the tone is excellent, right? We're talking about Eddie Van Halen, one of the best, if not the best ever in history. But that's up for a different conversation. But now that we're at it, could you please tell me if you consider Eddie Van Halen to be the best guitar player ever? Well, let me know in the comments. But now, what I want to show you is this. I was trying to draw your attention to the sound of the guitar and how it is only coming from one side of the speakers. It's coming from the left. Why is that important? Well, let me show you this. According to the legend, Eddie Van Halen never considered himself to be good enough to play the same guitar part twice while recording. I know, talking about humbleness. But the thing is this, when we're recording music, we usually like to record at least two guitars so we can have them spread across the stereo spectrum, making the sound of the whole mix feel thicker and much more powerful. The thing is that since Eddie was reluctant on recording the guitar twice, they had to come up with a way to do it. And in this record, this being one of the earlier Van Halen records, what they did is they applied an effect known as reverb, which sounds like this. Reverb. And as you can imagine, is an effect that we use to recreate the sound or the effect of a sound being produced inside of a particular space. And adding the reverberation and all of the different reflections that takes place when something sounds inside of a space, right? The thing is this, they are using it in a very interesting fashion. The guitar is coming from the left, and then the effect is applied on the other side, on the right, to convey this illusion of the guitar being stereo. Let me show you with this example. How is that, right? Very interesting, and it's a very peculiar sound that it's unique to this record. And it's something that when I heard this track for the first time, took me by surprise. I wasn't expecting them to do something like this. Also, you can hear the effect being used on any other, in the rest of the instruments. For example, the voice, it's filled to the rim with that effect, and also the drums. You will hear it more often on the snare, because it's so punchy. Speaking of the drums, what do you think about them? I listened to this track a few days ago. That's why I chose this one to be this week's reaction. But one of the things that took me by surprise was the sound of the drums. They're not as big as I remember them, but that's a good thing because that's sign of how properly crafted and well produced the track is, because it actually conveys the emotion and the gigantic sound of the band. I don't know if that makes sense to you, because Van Halen, if anything, is a loud and punchy and balls to the wall band. Don't you happen to agree? Let me know in the comments. Let's keep rocking, because next time around, once I bring back the conversation to you, we're going to be analyzing the sound of the mix as a whole. But please pay attention to those effects, and now that I pointed at the guitar coming from the left, I think it's going to be hard for you to stop paying attention to it. Let's continue. Here we go.
I don't ask for permission. This is my chance to fly. Maybe enough ain't enough for you, but it's my turn to try. But you never miss me till I got a fat city address. Non-stop talker, what a rocker. Blue-white murder in a satisfied dress. Change, nothing stays the same. Unchained, and you hit the ground running. Change, ain't nothing stays the same. Unchained, yeah, you hit the ground running. Change, nothing stays the same. Unchained, yeah, you hit the ground running. Change, ain't nothing stays the same. Unchained, yeah, you hit the ground running.
Once again, sorry for interrupting. But I don't know if you managed to see that they actually, when the guitar playing was, the guitar solo was taking place, fantastic, by the way, because it's one of those quirky guitar solos by Eddie that always takes you by surprise, even though you have listened to this track several times before. But I don't know if you noticed that they actually had the rhythm guitar playing on the left, while the lead guitar, Eddie playing the guitar solo, was panned to the right, giving you a much more punchier sound. And it makes sense, because from a mixing perspective, that's the highlight of the track, right? When Eddie kicks in and it's Unchained, he managed to do his magic, and it gotta feel bigger. So it was a very intelligent move from the mixing engineer, which, please tell me the name, by the way, because I love those kind of details. When the solo takes place, by having both guitars playing for the first time ever throughout the track, you feel a much more bigger, much more meaner, much more intense track, which makes the whole thing the whole experience of listening to this song way more exciting. Now, speaking of which, let's take a look at the screen now. In front of you have Decibel, which is the tool that has been telling us everything regarding this track since the beginning of this analysis. For those of you who are familiar with this tool, well, you know, but for those of you who are not, let me introduce you to my little friend. This guy over here is showing us the first section of our analyzer, which is the frequency range spectrum. In here we can see how loud each of the different frequencies have been from the start all the way down to the moment in which I stopped the song, in loudness for each of the different frequencies that correspond to the human hearing range, starting at 20 all the way down to 20,000, okay? This white line is showing us how loud the different regions of our song has been in the sense of the bands that correspond to human hearing. Here is the lows, and you can see, as I mentioned during the introduction or the first time I talked to you regarding the song, that the drums are not as big as I remember them. And that's not a bad thing. It's simply that it's not an overly hyped, super bombastic sounding mix when it comes to the low end. That's something that is more unique to much more modern records. And it's something that I kind of have a love-hate relationship with, because the vast majority of modern music, particularly rock music, are trying to compete to a certain degree with the way electronic and particularly pop tracks are mixed. And those tend to have a much more bombastic and loud low end. Why is that? Well, because low end tends to be where the exciting and moving part of music lies. I'm not necessarily speaking against it, but I think, aesthetically speaking, some genres benefit more than others when it comes to boosting the signals. And this track feels organic, feels like it belongs to its era, but also feels like it's raw, even though it's quite polished. And it's due to this. You don't have that overly hyped anything. You got here your meats, which is where basically everything guitar related is going to be found, but also a good chunk of the vocals as well. Which, what do you think about David Lee Roth's singing style? In my opinion, he's such a huge personality. I love him I love the way he sings, but not because of technical prowess. I think he's one of those very few singers that are able to project personality and enthusiasm and I don't know, like joy, just by being there. I don't know if that makes sense to you, because I don't consider him to be that gifted of a singer, even a singer at all. I don't know, because the way he's singing is almost like talking, and I imagine him being like that in real life. I haven't met the guy, but I get that impression. What do you think? Now, of course, speaking of vocals, the backing vocals are fantastic, right? That's one of the things that I love about Van Halen. The fact that the band was able to produce the entirety of the songs by their own without any reliance on extra stuff has always been amazing to me. Now, going back to the analyzer, the second half here is what is known as the dynamic range analyzer. This blue blob represents the point, the volume of the guitar of the track, the guitar projecting myself, the volume of the whole track throughout time. The higher it goes, the louder it was. And you can see that at the beginning, this is the very opening part, where the guitar it's by its own, sounding amazing, and all of a sudden, bam, we got this ramp up in volume. This is due to the fact of the introduction of the rest of the instrumentation. And I think that's why the song from the get-go feels so punchy. Because as soon as the rest of the band it's integrated with the guitar, you feel this, I don't know, there's a push that gets you pumped and excited. And it is due to the fact that the mixer actually pushed the fader a little bit in that very point, the master fader. Now, that's important, and let me elaborate a little bit more on it. When you're mixing music, one of the things that you have to do is understand that a live performance is full of different moments in intensity. And when you're recording music, you are trying to take as close as possible the audience to, or the listeners to what it would be to be in front of, in this case, Van Halen performing the track live. And how do you do that when you are recording music with tricks, such as the one that I mentioned at the beginning, with the guitar and the stereo stuff? But when it comes to volume, depending on how you play around with your faders, you can convey excitement by making it louder, or making it much more personal by making it quieter. Make sense? And in here, you can see that the track being balls to the wall, full on of intensity, full on power. As soon as the entirety of the band kicks in, it's just a progressive ramp up in volume. More intensity, much more intensity. Then the second half, you'll see that the same. And why would you change it? This track is short. So why would be the point of having a high dynamic range when the track is all about excitement, right? But be very careful with what I just said. Even though this is not a necessarily speaking dynamic track in its composition, it has plenty of dynamic range. Because you can see here, once again, at the beginning, this very point in volume is lower, very low in comparison to the rest. And that's what adds tension. And the next section, if you know the track, you know what is going to happen. You'll see that the dynamic range is going to make itself present once again. So let's keep rocking. Here we go.
Woo-hoo! Take a look at this. Hey, man, that suit is you. Woo-wee. You'll get some leg tonight for sure. Tell us how you do. Woo-hoo.
Come on, Dave, give me a break.
Hey, one break coming up. Change, nothing stays the same. Unchained, yeah, you hit the ground running. Change, nothing stays the same. Unchained, yeah, you hit the ground running. Change, nothing stays
That's rock and roll, right? That's the pure experience, the pure essence of what makes rock music what it is. The most exciting, the most impactful, the best music genre there is. Changed my mind. But now, coming back to the analysis, let's take a look at this. Just exactly what I was saying. Let me take you back to the dynamic range analyzer. This is the final track, the final section, sorry, the final lap of the song. And you can see here that we got a little bit of a dip in volume that allows for the gigantic final chorus, which, by the way, I tried to draw your attention to the fact that they brought back the electric guitar coming from both sides trick, making it feel louder. You even feel the guitar kicking in like, yeah, this is good. And in here, this is what happened as well in volume, because while the guitar was brought in, you got also this ramp up in the master fader, the controller that is controlling the entire volume of the mix, making it feel louder, making it feel more exciting. Badass, don't you think? Regardless of me being such a fan of this band and having so many fond memories of Van Halen, because it's one of the bands that it didn't necessarily speaking inspire me to become to turn myself into a musician, but it makes me how can I put it? Makes me feel of better days. I don't know if it's only me, because of how happy and joyful their music is, and also how can I put it? Eddie's guitar in particular, because he feels so unchained, so free. He's just doing what he feels like it, in a way that well portrays how big of a genius he was. It's simply fantastic. He's that good that make it look easy, when in reality it is not. Wow. For real, I never thought of Van Halen being such a band that would have such a deep impact in me. Now that I think about it, they do. But tell me, what do you think? And if you like Van Halen as much as I do, and if you want me to react to or analyze another song by this fantastic band, let me know in the comment section down below. And also, please tell me what do you think about the song as well, and if you manage to get the stuff that I tried to point out, because it's kind of hard to explain some of this terminology without being here in the studio, and I'm trying to make my best. So please tell me if it made sense, and if you get any form of more extra information regarding the production of this track, please let me know, because I love those kind of details. As usual, if you want to support this kind of content and this channel, the best way to do it is not just by subscribing and ringing the bell, but also by following us on social media such as Instagram and X, because that's the best way for you to get in touch with us in a much more personal basis. Also, you can do it an extra mile by listening to music on Apple Music or Spotify. That, I think, if you happen to like Van Halen, you are gonna like it as well, because there is plenty of Van Halen-esque moments in it. It's a little bit darker sounding, mind you, and it's not as happy as Van Halen, but give it a try, you might like it. As usual, the only thing left to be said is that you should never let anybody tell you what to dream about, and remember that I'll see you when I see you.